Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the case of Aaliyah Haughton? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I will put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. First, I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the incident, then offer my analysis. Aaliyah Dana Haughton was born on January 16, 1979, in Brooklyn, New York. When she was 5 years old, her family moved to Detroit, Michigan. She took voice lessons at an early age and started singing at various events like weddings. When she was 10 years old, Aaliyah appeared on the entertainment competition television show Star Search. Her uncle was an entertainment lawyer who had been married to the famous singer Gladys Knight. This opened up opportunities for Aaliyah in the recording industry. She signed on with her uncle's record label when she was 12 years old. Her uncle introduced her to a record producer and singer named Robert Sylvester Kelly, who went by the name R. Kelly. On August 31, 1994, when Aaliyah was only 15 years old, she married R. Kelly using forged documents. Her age was falsely indicated as 18. The wedding was illegal and later annulled. Aaliyah indicated that she cut off all contact with R. Kelly after this. Years later, in 2021, R. Kelly was convicted of multiple felonies. In 2022, he was sentenced to 30 years in prison. The same year as the fake wedding, 1994, Aaliyah released her first album, which had the curious title, Age Ain't Nothin' But a Number. This album brought her a tremendous amount of success. 2 years later, in 1996, Aaliyah signed with Atlantic Records and released her second album. In 1997, she graduated from high school in Detroit. In 1999, Aaliyah was given a major acting role in the 2000 movie Romeo Must Die. She starred alongside the martial artist Jet Li. Their characters were supposed to fall in love, but the acting delivered by Aaliyah was not convincing. Critics accused her and Jet Li of having zero chemistry. Aaliyah may have been a good singer, but she did not have a talent for acting. Aaliyah later went on to release a third album and star in the movie Queen of the Damned. Now moving to the timeline of the incident. On August 22, 2001, Aaliyah made her way to Miami, Florida to record a video for her single, Rock the Boat. There she recorded some underwater shots and dance routines in front of a green screen, but more recording was necessary to complete the video. On August 23, Aaliyah and employees of her record company flew to the Bahamas on a Fairchild Metro 3 twin turboprop aircraft in order to record more content. She was supposed to return on Sunday, August 26, but completed her portion of the recording ahead of schedule and decided to leave one day early. On Saturday, August 25, 2001, Aaliyah and her entourage made their way to the Marsh Harbor International Airport on Abaco Islands in the Bahamas. The plane for the return flight to Miami-Dade County was a 1976 Cessna 402B. This is a twin-piston engine aircraft that has a reputation for dependability and was used to transport small numbers of passengers on short trips. The Cessna 402B is much smaller than the Fairchild Metro 3, which carried the group to the Bahamas, and a little smaller than the aircraft which was originally scheduled to conduct the return flight, a Cessna 404. The 404 is a stretched version of the 402B and has a higher gross weight. The Cessna 402B was operated by Black Hawk International Airways, and the pilot was a man named Luis Antonio Morales. The plane arrived at the airport at 6:15 p.m., which was an hour and 45 minutes later than expected. The passengers had become impatient and were eager to get back to Miami. Another pilot claimed that he heard Luis and the passengers arguing. Luis explained to the passengers that there was too much weight to conduct a safe flight, but he eventually gave in after the passengers said they had to be in Miami that night. The pilot and 8 passengers piled into the Cessna 402B in preparation for the flight. The plane took off at 6:45 p.m. on runway 27. The 165-mile flight was supposed to take an hour to complete, As it turns out, it would be over much more quickly than that. Right after the Cessna left the runway, it climbed in a steep, nose-high attitude to about 40 feet. At this point, the plane banked left, pitched nose down, and slammed into the marshy terrain. It did cartwheels before coming to a rest about 300 feet from the runway. 6 of the 9 people on board were killed immediately, including Aaliyah. The pilot, a hairdresser, and a security guard survived the initial impact, only to die later. Here's what the authorities found during their investigation of the fatal collision. The pilot, Luis Morales, had been born on June 22, 1971, in Puerto Rico. His grandfather was a commercial pilot, and Luis had an interest in aviation from a young age. He began flight training at the age of 17. In July 1999, he obtained a private pilot airplane single-engine land license. In February 2000, he completed his commercial multi-engine check ride. In October 2000, Luis was rejected by an airline for being too inexperienced. In November 2000, he was arrested in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, after attempting to return $345 worth of stolen aviation parts to a distributor. He was charged with receiving stolen property and grand theft. On July 7, 2001, Luis was arrested near Pompano Beach while driving his 1993 Volkswagen Fox. He was charged with felony cocaine possession, driving on a suspended license, and running a stop sign. Officers found crack cocaine and drug paraphernalia in his vehicle. Luis explained that he was in the area to buy cocaine for a friend. Ultimately, he was sentenced to probation. Later that summer, Luis made numerous fraudulent logbook entries in order to inflate his hours of experience. The false entries were blatant. For example, during one 19-day period, his total multi-engine hours increased by exactly 1,000 hours. Even if he had been flying for the entire 19 days, which of course he could not do, that would only be 456 hours. Luis also labeled various airplanes that he flew as a Cessna 402, even when they were not. On August 23, just 2 days before the fatal incident, Luis found a job with Black Hawk International Airways. As far as the cause of the fatal collision, here are the factors that contributed. The Cessna 402B was at least 941 pounds over the maximum allowable takeoff weight of 6,300 pounds. One piece of luggage was unaccounted for and not included in the calculation. There was also a center of gravity problem. It was 4.4 inches aft of the maximum aft allowable center of gravity envelope. Part of the problem was that 2 300-pound passengers climbed into the very back of the aircraft. There is no evidence that the pilot ever performed weight and balance calculations, although Luis did tell the passengers that the aircraft was overweight. The Cessna 402B had one more passenger on board than it was certified to carry. The pilot was not approved to fly the aircraft. He falsified logs to get his FAA license. He had cocaine and alcohol in his system, and he did not follow the manufacturer's checklist for takeoff. For example, the trim tabs were set out of the normal range required for takeoff, and the flaps were set incorrectly. Luis Morales was dangerously incompetent and managed to kill 8 people 2 days into his job. Now moving to my analysis. Here are my thoughts on a few areas that stood out to me in this case. Item number 1. Based on a book that was written about the life of Aaliyah, a story started circulating in the media about how she was drugged and carried onto the aircraft. This makes it seem like she was taken on the fatal flight against her will. That's not exactly what the book said, and the reliability of the account in the book can be questioned. According to the book, Aaliyah was a nervous flyer and had complained about a headache right before the flight. A 13-year-old baggage handler said that Aaliyah took a pill before takeoff and fell asleep in a taxi. No one saw her being carried onto the aircraft. In all likelihood, when it was time to take off, someone woke up Aaliyah and she simply walked onto the plane. The Cessna 402B is a very small aircraft for someone to carry a woman on board. Item number 2, both the pilot and a few baggage handlers told the passengers that there was too much weight on the plane. Aaliyah was not part of this conversation. The passengers became angry and insisted that they had to be in Miami that night. I find this curious for a few reasons. The entourage was actually going home a day early because Aaliyah had changed the plans. Again, she finished early. They were supposed to fly back on Sunday, and she changed the day to Saturday. Why did the entourage need to get there on Saturday night if they had originally planned to stay to the next day? Furthermore, why weren't they willing to leave a few people and some luggage behind? Was it really critical that every single member of the entourage made it back to Miami that night? Were these people really that important? Even though Luis was not going to win the Pilot of the Year award and was probably going to lose his license soon, he was the only one who was even close to being qualified to fly the plane. He knew the plane better than anyone else there. It's worrisome that these passengers thought they understood more about the physics of flight than the pilot. I think this reveals something about the personality characteristics of some of the passengers. They were immature, arrogant, self-centered, and impatient. Desperately latching on to the power and fame of Aaliyah, they were accustomed to getting their way. Item number 3. Aaliyah hated flying and had a particular fear of small aircraft. She viewed the trip to the Bahamas to shoot the music video as unnecessary and dangerous. There's no doubt that she had a point. The Rock the Boat music video was nothing special. The key element filmed in the Bahamas was a shot on a 72-foot catamaran, which featured Aaliyah and several dancers. The Bahamas is known for this type of imagery, like boats floating on the clear blue sea, but this could have been shot in Florida. Even if they insisted on filming in the Bahamas, there was no need to take a small charter plane. As far as the quantity of people in the entourage, Aaliyah probably only needed one hairdresser, the makeup artist, and another employee who was a video producer. The other 4 people were not necessary. It's not unusual in the music industry for everyone to want to be near the talent. Perhaps that's what happened here. Item number 4. What do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. Aaliyah was musically talented, clean-cut, and would have had a long and successful career if she was not tragically killed. She was mindful of how unusual her success was and did not take it for granted. For this reason, even though she was displeased with shooting the Rock the Boat music video in the Bahamas, she decided not to rock the boat. She went along with the plan, even though she had valid concerns. As Aaliyah was skyrocketing to fame, the pilot, Luis, was plummeting to the ground. He was a fraud whose life was going nowhere. Aaliyah was on her way up, and Luis was on his way down. Unfortunately, he brought everyone down with him. The blame for the fatal collision falls on the pilot. It was his responsibility to safely operate the aircraft, no matter how much complaining the passengers did. In a curious and sad way, the earlier offenses that Luis committed contributed to the fatal collision. This wasn't just about the weight of the aircraft. It was about the decision-making process of Luis. Due to his many other mistakes, like using cocaine, he was in a bad position as far as challenging the passengers. He did not want to be the center of attention. Scrutiny was not his friend. If he refused to take off with all the passengers and their luggage, someone might have looked into his qualifications. They may have complained to his employer. Just like Aaliyah, Luis did not want to rock the boat. He didn't feel as though he could get away with it. A foundation for disaster had been established by Luis through his desire to have a position he did not deserve. He did not make the weight and balance calculations because he did not want to know the result. Luis Morales never mastered flying, but he did master lying to himself. Those are my thoughts in the case of Aaliyah Haughton. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They consistently generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be informative. Thanks for watching.